Hi, this is Stuart J. Raj, or as my Chinese name is, Wang Huai Le. Now, the forms that I just wrote my name in are actually based on the 形数, the writing forms. Now, I've actually seen what you're about to see. I've just jumped in after having recorded this, and this is a clip that I've been wanting to put together for such a long time now. If you're learning Japanese, if you're learning Chinese or Korean or anything that you need to write Chinese characters or Japanese hiragana, katakana, you need to see this. This is a masterclass on writing Chinese and how to get a more authentic accent on your writing. Don't switch off. Hi, Stuart J. Raj here, and today I'm putting together a clip that I would have wanted at the very beginning of my Chinese and Japanese studies many, many years ago. Now, there's one thing when speaking a language, and often we'll talk about your accent speaking the foreign language, but when it comes to writing and reading and actually seeing the language the way that native speakers see and feel the language, it's something that's often overlooked when foreigners are learning the language. Now, if you are learning Chinese and the Hanzi, or in Chinese characters, or if you're learning Japanese and your Kanji, as well as Hiragana and Katakana, or if you're learning Korean. Now, in Korean you have the Hanja, which is your Kanji, your Chinese characters, and even the actual Korean letters themselves, the Korean characters themselves, can be based, especially when you're using a pen, on these strokes. So what we're going to learn here is how Chinese people's muscle memory is formed from when they're a kid, and we'll be embedding those because sometimes when a foreigner looks at certain things, they don't see the same thing that maybe a native speaker sees. Now, I'll give you an example. Now, for example, in Japanese, a foreigner might see this in hiragana. Okay, something like that in hiragana. And they might think that those components are similar components to, say, that. Or that. They see this crossy bit up the top and this down there. Now, here's another example. You might see this and might think it's a similar shape to this. Okay, now when you see that, it kind of looks the same, but to a native Chinese or Japanese speaker, actually those forms in the characters come from very different places, and the muscles doing very different things. And actually, in Japanese, now this is why we're talking about hiragana also. Let me show you this. If you probably know this, but where did hiragana come from? When you're writing hiragana, you're actually writing pseudo-cursive forms of the kanji, of the Hanzi, the Chinese characters. So, for example, if you speak Japanese, you would know that this is a, I, u, e, o. Right? So those originally came from these Chinese characters. So an, I, u, I, U again. Now, you'll notice that the modern Chinese pronunciation doesn't sound anything like the Japanese one, because Japanese pronunciation, now you have the kanyomi and you have the, onyomi, sorry. Onyomi is your Chinese pronunciation, kunyomi is the Japanese pronunciation, and in the onyomi you have from different periods of history where they've entered into Japan, and they've got slightly different pronunciations. But generally the Japanese pronunciations of Chinese characters are very similar to the sort of Middle Chinese ancient pronunciation, which often are quite different from modern Mandarin Chinese. But if you speak, say, Hokkien or Cantonese, they're a lot closer. So the way we're going to do this is, we're going to have, now, so we have a, I, u, e, o. Now, have a look at this. Ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Sa, shi, su, se, so, たちつてとなにぬねのはひふへほまみむでめも and then やゆよらりるれろwa we there's no u there and then we have we wo or o and then finally Now what we're going to do now is I'm going to use these hiragana forms of the kanji to show you some tricks when writing in handwriting style. Now we call it 行书. Now 行 is this character here. Actually, I'll write it in kaishu first. So you have this walking radical and there. So this is 行 meaning to walk or hang in Cantonese. And 书, now 书, the full form is this. Okay, 书 meaning book or writing. So 行书 is your handwriting. Now, just give you an example, this is 开书 form of the word 行, to walk or to move. Okay, so that's your standard form that most learners would use. Now, this is the 行书 form. Okay. Now you have to excuse, it's a little difficult writing with a finger. I'll do that again. Now, and you can see different variations. Different degrees of cursiveness. Now, that 行书 is somewhere between, we call 开书 is your standard book form, and 草书, which is the grass form, which is very squiggly. It's like that. Okay, so 行书 is basically what you use it, and we call it 硬币. Now, I'll be quoting some things out of this book too. This is a fantastic book. It's called 写好钢笔字的书. And so it's how to write, develop beautiful handwriting using a pen in Chinese. And also there's some other books that, this is one that I bought from Vietnam, and teaching in Vietnamese how to write Chinese, and it's got a lot of what we're going to be talking about. And you can also get some guides to it as well. So if you go to any Chinese bookstore, you can often pick up these. This one is called 一笔成. So basically how to write any character without lifting your pen off the paper. And you start to see how and feel how native speakers of Japanese and Chinese naturally feel the rhythms of the characters. And again, you can buy things like this. So this again is 行书, and it's actually a book of how to do the 行书 forms with a brush. Okay, and then one thing that you probably want to get to practice with is either a book like this, which you've probably had if you've been learning Japanese or Chinese, or you can get an app like this on your phone. I use this app on Android, and it's fantastic. You can just write there. Now there are certain things like the dian. You can't really get the flick like you would want to get on a brush or on a pen, but it's good enough, and it's great for practicing, and you don't waste paper. Okay, so let's go. So we're going to get into some really exciting stuff, getting through all the characters, but before we do, we need to get back to some fundamentals. Now, the whole idea of this is what you learn in school, what your Chinese teachers tell you. For example, when you write this character here, okay, you might learn different stroke orders. You might learn the stroke order to do that, and then there, and then across and down, okay? Now, and if you write it the wrong way, your teacher's going to slap you across the wrist. The reality is, however, the way that you might see some native speakers write with different stroke orders. You might see them write different shapes. And that all comes down to how these characters actually have traditionally been written, where they might have come from in their original script. And I'll just show you what's basically happening in the muscles here. This is a this is a book of different charts when you're using your brush. So this is actually really great. If you use a wet brush on this, it turns black where the water is, and these pages are waterproof. But basically it says what to do with your hand here. So for example, have a look at this. You can see this here. Okay, for this stroke going down here, this is like a pierre stroke. You can see this loop there. That's saying what you need to do with your muscles. Okay, it's saying it's not just a stroke down. Your muscles actually want to go in a little circle like that, then pull it down. Some other things, if we have our heng, the heng stroke is this cross stroke. So let me find, where is a heng stroke in here? Here we go. And so have a look at this cross stroke here. You can see that your hand is actually making a figure eight. So rather than just doing a straight line across like this, your hand is actually doing this. Okay, I'll emphasize it here. Okay, now there are other things that come into play as well. It's a bit hard to do it on here, but basically instead of a straight line, it's going to look like this. Okay, it's all about balancing the weight with the angles of your muscles and the speed, going faster or slower at different points of the stroke. All of these things are involved in getting that one stroke. So this is the heng stroke. So have a look at this character here. This is the yong character. Now we call this yong zi ba fa. If you've ever learned Chinese calligraphy or learning to write, you'll probably start practicing with this character because it has all of the 8 fundamental strokes. So we'll just recap them. We have the dian. Now dian means a dot. Okay, so the dian actually isn't just a dot like this that you might see, but if you have a look at the deep muscle movements, it goes like this. I'll exaggerate. It goes down, has a steep there and there, and then it goes around, boop, and comes around like that. That's how your muscles are going to behave when you do a dot. So a dot isn't just like this. Your muscles are actually going like that on the page with different weights. Now, when you do it with a pen, so we call yingbi. Yingbi in Chinese is the actual pen, the hard pen. That weight and this part here turns into an actual flick. So sometimes it will look like this at about 90 degrees. It's hard to do it on this finger pad, but the dian is going to probably look like that. Okay, so yong starts with a dian, and then the next one is the straight across one, the horizontal stroke, which we call heng. Now here you can see it starts from there, goes up, and then we do shu, down. Okay, so we do that again. We have a dian, heng, shu. Okay, now that heng, remember, it's actually going like this. It's not just a straight line. So dian, heng, shu is the same. Heavy in the beginning, twisting, down straight, and then light to finish up. So heng, shu. And then go is the hook. Okay, and that flicks up like that. Okay, so here we go. There, heng, shu, go. Okay, it's a bit hard to do it with on the phone one like this. Okay, and sometimes you'll see, because it can't go like that, you'll see it written like that. Okay, go. Now, this next bit we call ti. Ti means to rise up. So this goes like that. You can see it's rising up. Now, it's all about balance too. So to get these balanced, we actually want to do this stroke like this. 75% of Chinese characters, they are not symmetrical like we might think. They're not just this square box where all sides are equal. Okay? This is, if you're going to take anything away from this video, take this. What actually happens? Now, you know what a trapezoid is. A trapezoid is a rectangle or a four-sided polygon with slanted edges. Okay, so we're starting to get there. However, what happens with Chinese characters, to get this balance, everything's about balance. While this bottom line is straight, this one here goes up at an angle, then comes down. But we have this line here, which is the balance. Okay, this is the balance line. So given that this has more area on this side, what happens is you'll find this part of it more sparse and some concentration here to balance it up. Okay, and 75% of Chinese characters are going to fall into this slanting up trapezoid. So let's have a look. If we look at the yong, the way it's written, watch this. So we have the dian here. Heng, shu, go. Now, so what we're going to do is we want to get something that's going to go up and out like this. That's the flow. Okay, and so this one here is going to come down and down on that angle. This one's only going to come there. So the general flow is going to be like that. So let's have a look. There, heng, shu, go. Now this comes up, down. Actually, that should be a little longer. Up, down. Now see how that's come up higher and out. It's still not really balanced. There, going up, down, out. Okay, that's getting more balanced there. But can you see this? This is what I'm talking about here. This is the fundamental shape that we want to get. It's an upward slanting polygon, or upwards slanting trapezoid. We call it taixing in Chinese. Okay, so most about 75% of Chinese characters are going to fit into that. If it's not an upward slanting one, it might go the other way. When we're going to be writing in the future, no matter what it is, we have our dian. Heng is the cross one. Shu, go, ti is rising up. This is called wan. Wan is like a curve out. And now we have pie. Pie is this stroke here. And then we have na. Na is coming down like that. Okay, so dian, heng, shu, go, ti, wan, pie, na. Okay, now the reality is when you actually write it, it's weird writing like that. You'll see it written anywhere like this. Okay, that to the point that it's gonna, so the shui part of that is like that, to the point that it comes down like this. And that's actually the Chaoshu form of Yong, eternity. But anyway, we're going to be getting into that. What you just saw then, that transfer of Yong in each of the actual strokes that you will learn at school to the Chaoshu, to the very freestyle handwriting form of it, there are things that happen in the muscles that go to that. Now, if you weren't Chinese and you saw these two forms, you saw this form here and you saw this form here, you think, wait a minute, they don't look like each other. Let's wait. As we go through these characters now over the rest of this video, I'm going to show you how they do that and how you can start to predict it and how to build this into your own muscles when you're writing in Chinese and Japanese. Okay, now this is the time that we've been waiting for. Now let's have a look at this. A, I, U, E, O. The first, so this in Japanese Hiragana. Let's see where it's come from. We have this character here. It's weird writing it slowly after all, but you've got a roof, which is made up of a dot, and then this part here, which is the roof, and a woman under it, okay? So let's have a look at that. So we've got a dot and this part of the roof. Now, if you were learning at school, you would learn to do dot, stroke, that. Now, what actually happens though when you're writing faster, you start to go like this. Now, dot, stroke, and up. And you see that? Dot, stroke, and up. That's the pattern there. Okay, so, and you can start to see now, I've got here on the left-hand side, you can see where it's come from. Now, this one here, we're interested in the Chaoshu. Chaoshu is the very cursive script, and you can start to see how it's flowing there. And then down here is the Xingshu, okay? So we're looking at this. So look, what happens with this part of it? Dot, but, and then that could even turn into that. Or sometimes you leave the dot until the next part, which we'll get into. Now, let's have a look at how to do this character. Now, if you look at this, the original form of the woman, some people say it was a woman sitting down nicely with her hair down. Other people say she's there carrying, doing her chores, or she's sitting down with her legs crossed nicely. But in any case, this is woman here. You'll see the cursive, the handwriting script will often just go like this. It's kind of this almost straight line with a bit of a curve down, and then like this, and so it goes like this. You see that? Again, so it totally loses this part here, and it just goes into this. Okay, so if we combine the two, rather than doing the roof like that, do that part of the roof, bring that down. You can start to see it's looking similar to the Japanese a in hiragana. Now watch what happens. So now, rather than this part now, let's drop that out. There, up, down, around. You see that? There, down, round, in. And so down, around. There we have it. That's the a in hiragana. Now, things to take note. It's not just across here. You see that this is bowing upwards there. Okay? And this is coming downwards. The reason why this has this curve down like that, it's got this down curve, is because it was originally this part of it. Okay, so that's not a straight line down. I've seen sometimes when people write Japanese, learners write Japanese, they'll do this and do a straight line down and come in there. It's not that. It's coming up, it's coming down, and it's going around, because that is originally from the female. Okay, next character. And actually another common character that we see with new. How about this one? Okay, a woman with her child is good. Now, let's have a look at this element here. One thing to note. You see, this is the top bit. Now, we have this bit here, but it's not a normal curve. This is the physics of this character, the balance. It goes like that. It comes down just a little bit past here, and then we're going to start. Now, this is, I'm going to exaggerate. It goes down, 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 and that, see that symmetry there? Where that breaks off and that there, then it kicks up. So let's have a look. Down, 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 up, and out. See that? It's got, your muscles are doing this square when you're coming down. It's not like that. Okay? So it's down, 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 bang, and across. Now when we mix it with this, so we've got that, and then that, hao, like ni hao, turns to this. See that? It goes into a flow. Sometimes you might want to break that part up, down and across. Depends, okay? But this is the Xingshu version of hao, good. Okay, so that's a, i. Now, 可以, you might know the word 可 and then 以 in Chinese, meaning to be able to may. So this word 以 originally goes like that, okay? Now, thing to note in this character is, look at this. This here, what happens is when we do this na stroke down in Chinese, so the na stroke goes like this, okay? What your hand is really doing is this. Okay, you see this going around the top, your muscles are going down, and then here, there's this kickback. Now, you mightn't think it's much, but it has a profound effect in Chinese. I'll show you. So one character we see it is the word 人 for person, 人, hito. Okay, there. And then we see this coming down and that. But when you start to write that fast, it starts to look like this. So, 中国人, 中国人. And you can even see it like that, but you'll see this tail here, even on the word 大, big, oki. is it's going to be like this, going up, going down, and then down like that. But the hand hits like that. So you will even get the Xingshu, Taoshu forms of da, big, like this, coming up and going down, or there. You see how it's curving around like that? And sometimes you'll even see that like this. Da. Believe it or not, you've actually started on this end rather than started on this end. So you might see it going this way or this way or separated. Okay, but the thing to note is this na stroke here. It's got a kick at the end, which when you're doing handwriting, it starts to have a huge effect. So let's get back to E. E is like this, but what happens is you go E. See that little kick there? It's still there. E. Now what happens in Japanese, this turns into E. E. That's that kick there. So a, I, U, e, o. This E here, that's where it comes from. Originally from this character turning into that. Okay, U. Let's have a look. We have a roof again. This is U. Okay, so basically as we get faster, again, roof coming down, and the U is just that part of the roof. Okay, U, which is being kept for there. Nothing much to say there. Only one thing to note though, you get these strokes together and then down. Okay, now one thing to note, when you're doing two strokes like that, for example, the number 1, I, ich, ni, er. Okay, but you won't write 3, we probably wouldn't write it like this, with them all joined together. You'll have it one going up like that, so one's going there, one's going there, one's going there. Now notice that this is actually pointing up, that's going across, and that's going out, down. Now watch this. San, actually you shouldn't have that one. San. You can see that they're all sort of bowed. That's bowing up to the top, joining, and then we've separated that. So up, cross, and balancing it at the bottom. Up, cross, balancing at the bottom. San. Okay, so now if we come into this one here, see it's balanced there. Because there's only 2, we've joined those together. Okay, U. But in Japanese, the U comes from that. Now we're getting into some really good territory. I like this character because you find it in a lot of places, in a lot of forms. Have a look at this. So, a, I, U, e. Now, you know in hiragana, the e, if you write Japanese, is like this. Okay, that's actually, you see it coming up there. Now, there's a reason for every bit of this character. Have a look at this. It starts with a dien. And then we've got a hung coming down. Now, so the proper character should go like that, okay? Now, there are a few things that happen here. First of all, this and this get joined. So this is a very common stroke pattern. We have this hung and this pie, and they join, so it becomes this, okay? Also, you might see in this pattern here, this also happens, okay? There. Down, like in the word Guangdong, you see that, okay? This pattern joins down, and so we have here, there, that comes down, so it becomes, now, we see this pattern here, watch this. So after we've come down like that, come up, there, and around. Now, remember we did this na stroke before that's coming down like that, and it kicks in. Well, often when you're writing fast in any of these, this happens. So watch this. That comes up, there, bang. You see this kick here? So watch this. Duh. Starts to turn into, it's starting to resemble that. Duh. Duh. Okay, so when we're writing this E, we'll often see it with this kick down rather than with its leg out like that. Now, many Westerners might think when they're writing fast, this would stretch out that way, but it actually kicks in because your muscles are pulling it back. Okay, and that's a very common thing for Chinese to see in Chinese handwriting, this pullback on the na stroke. Okay, so I, I, U, e, And then finally, o. Now, this is an interesting one. Have a look at, so o in Japanese, hiragana is this, okay? Where's it come from? We have this character here. Now, you might have learned to write the fang like this. Then that stroke, and then this. If you learned that, it's right, but this is how in Xingshu and in handwriting it's written. It's a bit of a different stroke order. You go there, sorry, with the dot, dian, cross, and then you come down here. It's like in the zi one that we did. You see how that comes down? So there, cross, down like that, and up, and then down. So that comes first. Da, cross, down. Okay. Now, that's a fang. That's the left-hand part of the character here. Across, down, and then the right one. I'll do it in kaishu for you. That comes down, and then two dots like that. Okay. Now, in traditional writing, however, and I'll come to it here, have a look at this. You'll see it written with this, that fang turns into what almost looks like a tai. So what's happening is this fang here, remember how we did this an with the roof and this joined it so it became this? Well, the same thing's happening. So basically it goes like this, duh, then that's coming in, and then that. So duh, duh, okay? And then coming like this. And now this part here, okay, that joins, and then it comes into even more of a duh, dot. So what's put together? We've got duh, 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 dot, which then slows turn to duh, duh, dot, duh, 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 dot. Okay, and you can have a look here that actually in the Chaoshu form of this, it looks there it is. That's the o in Japanese Hiragana. So that is the Chaoshu form of yu there. Okay, so that's our first set, a, I, U, E, o. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the next set. We're going to have to speed up here, but this is these ones here. So ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Okay, jia, ji, jiu, ji. And this one here, it looks like e, but it used to be pronounced ko, which turned into ko. It was originally from another form. Okay, so let's have a look here. The first one, this jia. Now this is an interesting one. We have a li, I better do it nicely for you there. A li and then a ko, okay, meaning to add. Okay, now let me show you the symmetry of this. We have this coming here, and you remember that we had that down there. If that was there, this is where the intersection point comes. Okay, the intersection point should be in line with that goal, with that hook there. Okay, let's do it again. So we come across, bang, down, bang, and then down like this. Across, down, up, boom. So to get that balance, we want to get the intersection point and this goal in line. Okay, so that's there, boop, balanced. There, intersected. Wherever that goal happens, that's where your intersection's got to be. Okay, now, so we have a duh, and then we have this. Cool. Now that doesn't look balanced. Okay. Now remember, we're wanting to go out in this kind of pattern here. So let's try again. Li, da, da. Now what happens when we do this fast? There. Then this comes around here. So often you'll see this ko start to be written like this. Okay. You can see this line here almost gets lost. It's just a little muscle twitch and then around. Okay, around like that, and then it even turns into that. Okay, so watch this. And that's where we get it from. If hands coming over here, and so this is where we get ka in Japanese. Next one, ki. have a look at this. Now we have this here, right? We have this here. Now, then we have that, that, and that. Those elements there. Now, the order that we do this, often in handwriting, these here, that is like a silk, actually turn into like ren. Now, remember how ren was like this, but we put the kick on the leg. Okay, so watch this. See that? So this, the turns into this. So there, and then this. Now we come from there, down here, there, kick. So watch this. Boom. Which turns into which we have finally like this. Ki in Japanese. Okay, so this term from ji to ki. Ku. This is an interesting one because you remember we have this one here. We have the character jiao. Okay, so it basically goes like that and like that. That means a long time. Okay, how long? 多久? So it looks like that and comes down. Now, before we go into that one, I'll show you two, not to get confused. One, meaning culture. Okay? And this one here. I'll show you why they can get confusing. One, when we do it, turns into this. That. Okay? You see that? So this one here comes around and over. Now that's a na again, so sometimes it even kicks in. So one. Now that's joined again and over. As opposed to jiao, which has this distinct stroke here, then that, and then that. So watch this. Jiao, one, jiao, one, which can turn into one. Okay, they look similar. Okay, one. Don't get them mixed up. The way to get it, so don't get them mixed up. You see this point there. Okay, I'll do it again. Jiao. So that point there, and that's what turned into the jiao gu. Now you notice we've got jia, ga, ji, gi, jiu, gu. This it's a palatization that we see going into Northern Chinese. Ji, gai. We even see in European languages. So church, kirk. Okay, this is a normal thing that happens in language, but we're not looking at phonetics at the moment. But that's an interesting point. Okay, so now we're looking at ke. So ke actually it's got two components. You've got this yan zipang, which means word or to speak, and you have this x going down. Now let's just have a look at these two components. This radical here. Now one thing to notice when doing radicals, you'll often find. Now we call this kind of grid, by the way, where you have these diagonal strokes, mi, ge, mi, because that's this character here. Okay, so this is the mi, ge. That line there is the center. However, imagine these were like this. When you're doing a radical, for example, that. The lines on this side are almost like they're going to all point to this corner. And going up. You see how if these kept going, they would intersect there. Okay, so that's an interesting thing to note. So when we're doing that, you see they're progressively all getting up into this corner. Okay, as opposed to this coming down. That's another part of balancing it. But watch this. Okay, then that. Now, so this and going up turns into that. Okay, so if you write simplified Chinese, you would know that that is the radical for that. But it goes a step further into Chaoshu, where that becomes then that. Okay, and then we have that in there. Okay. Another thing to note though, don't get mixed up. Sometimes you will have this radical and this 三点水, 3 drops of water looking the same. So I'll just show you this 3 drops of water that goes dot, dot, dian, dian. Now this one again kicks up and shoots into that goal there. Okay. So dun, dun, and up into that goal. If you were doing something like that, so again, that's the same one, except if you wrote it then 三点水, that there turns into again that, which looks identical. So sometimes you will see these 2 radicals looking both like that. Okay, another example is if in this character here, 九, okay, so sometimes you'll see it written like that. Okay, it turns out like that. You've got the 三点水 coming down and down. Okay, so this is, just be aware of that. Those 2 radicals can get confusing. And then finally, ko. So ko, we have this letter here, this character here, sorry, turns into this, turns into, you got a kick there, and that's where we get the ko in Japanese. Kakikuke ko. Okay, so now we're on to the next set. Sa, shi, si, se, so comes from 左, 至, 存, 是, 成. Okay, so let's have a look how they become those. First one, okay, so we have 左. Okay, so first of all, this 左右, that means left. Okay, this is a hand. When we do this part of it, it turns into this. Okay, actually it turns into that. Okay, 左. Let's do it again. So 左 come down and into there. Now as we get faster though, you will find people doing it like that. 左 to the point that it has turned into that. 左, which turns into the sa in Japanese, and you can see it actually here in the Taoshu. It actually looks very similar in some of these. Okay, so that's where we get 左. Shi. Now you remember we had this turning into that. Okay, now we have this 直 turning into this. 直 going down, 直 turning into 直 and 喜. Okay, that's, believe it or not, that's that one. You can see here, you can see the transitions here, how they've changed into that. So that's 喜. Next one, 自 zhi, 自. So let's have a look here. Okay, so this 存. Okay, now notice this here. Now you'll see this happen a lot. You'll see it happen whenever you've got a more like a tree, whenever you've got big. Okay, anytime you've got this kind of cross line, you'll see that going there. And then instead of lifting up and doing a dot there, you'll see it turn into a tsu. Okay, which turns into, okay, and this is where we get tsu. Okay, in Japanese, su. Next, se. Now this is an interesting one. The word for Earth, okay, or planet. Have a look at this, and there's an interesting development on this. First of all, you see the stroke order that they do there. It'll go like this, across, okay, and then you come down, there. Okay, this is your typical 世 for 世界, Earth. Cross, right, down, cross, there. Now, have a look over here though, there's some really weird permutations of it. The cross stroke always comes first, but then you get these lines going chaotically all through it. Now, even here, okay, but the order is important. It goes there, okay, there, okay. So coming across there, 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 which finally turns into the Japanese there, 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 and over there. So we missed that middle stroke. So there and over there, se. Okay. Se. And you even see it in the katakana too. Same root character there. So just remember, duh, duh, but that hook there coming back into there is what gives us the shape of the Japanese se character. And notice how it's not a straight across like that, it's sort of going up because of our characters doing that trapezoid again, okay? So it's in there, cross, going up, there, there, and there. So it's going in this upward formation. And finally, so, this is an interesting one. I'll just pull it up here for you, boop, and here, boop, and you can see it in here, okay. I'll just do it, so we've got the head on it there. Now, when we're doing this pattern here, okay, this is, okay, that, eyes in first, cross, there, and close it. But what happens, knees join, you see this, this goes, this is a very common pattern, there it goes again, and then here it comes again, coming down. You remember like we did in the Guangdong, okay? So it's this pattern again. You get these recurring patterns. So back there, so round, turns into the round, okay, turns into the round, turns into so, okay, and you can even see them here, okay, that's where we get our so in Japanese, okay, so I think it looks something like this, the round, okay, but this part has come from here, this is the, and you could even say it was this part in here doing the so. Okay. All right. 再次書寫 so. Next set. Okay, our next set we have Ta Qi Zhi Zhe To. They've come from Tai Zhi Chuan Tian Zhi. Okay, these guys here. Tai Zhi Chuan Tian Zhi. All right, let's see how we got them. Now, this is probably going to be one of the most important ones. Or we're not doing zhi, there we go. We're doing tai. Now, tai, of course, has this. We did it before. We've got ta. Okay. So the traditional ta, you'll probably have written it like that in class. Okay. Now, we learned that this would normally get a kick up like that and then down like this. So you often see ta written round and round like that. Okay, so rather than this na stroke going out like it should, like that, it comes and kicks in. So it turns to ta. So watch this. Now in the tai, we have a ta and then we have a dot in there. Watch this transmutation. Da. Da. And then the dot. Da, da, dot. Da. Dot. And that's where we get tai. Comes from ta. Okay. Now you'll see this same pattern happen again in the next character, in the next set, sorry, with na, which in Japanese is like that. Again, comes from the same one. It's this ta character with the leg split out there and then coming in. Ta, na, ti. Now we know this, zhi meaning to know. Okay, if it's in proper kaishu, that's an arrow, that's a mouth, arrow going to the mouth, and that turns into that turns into that, which turns into that, okay, chi, ta, chi, tsu, te, to, which turns into that and around, which turns into that, which is where we get qi. Okay, tsu. So, chuan. We have this. Let me pull this up for you here so you can see them. Okay, meaning a river like Sichuan. Okay, we've got 3 streams you can see in there. Okay, so watch how this changes. Chuan 1, 2, 3 turns into 1, 2, 3. Turns into 1, 2, 3, turns into 2. Okay, 2. Now, it's interesting because some people might just see 2 like this, but it's actually, when you see, it's got this little bow in it. That is, what's the word in English? It's a vestigial element from these water flows. Now, while we're undoing these dots, how about these dots here? You'll often see 4 dots, for example, in the word dian. Okay, 4 dots under there. When you're writing them in handwriting, they go like this: 1, 2, 4. Okay, da, da. It's weird doing it slow. You see that pattern there? So it's not 4 dots that are coming down, but it's there, 1, 2, 3 up and 4 down. Dian. Okay, so that's 3 is looking like, sorry, 4 dots is looking like that. 3 will come in like that. Okay, which has turned into 2 in Japanese Hiragana. Tachi tsu to. Now this is an interesting one. Take note, because this is gonna, the handwriting form of this character is very different. To comes from this character. Oh, sorry, te first. Let's do te first. Heaven. Okay, tachi tsu te. So we have the heaven, sky, person. So that's heaven. Easy. Except when we do this, we do these first, and that comes in there, and then we have that out there. Okay, so da, which turns into da, which turns into that, turns into that. Okay, te, heaven. That kind of doesn't look like that if you're not used to it, but if you start writing it fast, you'll see it getting down there, and you can see them here in this chaoshu, where they can get this Japanese te form. It actually looks quite similar. Now, to, what I was speaking about, this one here, check it out. Now, the stroke order that you would have learnt is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I'll scroll down here and show you the original form of it is like this. You've got the ground, that, and that's coming out. Okay, stop, planted in the ground. So what we do, what we see is, rather than this starting off here, we see 2 things happening. We have this coming around and doing that. Okay, there are 2 forms of this. You'll see this form of it, de, which turned into that to. Okay, de. Or we'll see this form of it. That part of it first, then that side, which is reminiscent of this. There. Okay, so de. Now, take note, because you'll see this happen a lot in other characters. For example, later we'll do the, right? And then we have this zhi down there for wu, which turns into no mu, right? Because this turned into there, around, and that was this dot here. Okay, so you'll see this form a lot, and the other character you'll see it in is zheng, which also has that part to it, except instead of just doing like that, you'll see zheng written like this. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. All right, now you know how in English where we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you'll see in Chinese restaurants, just a side note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't work with the Chaoshu version. You have to do the Kaishu version, because Chaoshu version or the Xingshu version is like that, zheng. Okay, so zhi, which, or that, which is と、立ちつてと。Okay, so now the next set we have na, ni, nu, ne, no from 那人 no, me. Now that's a funny one. And then nai. Now you see a couple of these are actually quite rare that you see, but let's go in to see how they transformed from that into nani ni ne no. Here we go. There's some good lessons in here. Now we covered this one first. So this character here, we have a ta, and then we have a sh underneath, which turns into and then this one, so this bottom part of it turns into this, turns into this, turns into this. Okay, so put them together, we've got that kicking up turned into that, that kicking up turned into that, and that's where we get our na from, and you can see it here. And it basically looks like the Japanese hiragana na. So na, ni, nu, ne, no. Now, where did ni come from? This is our ren in standard Chinese. We'll get down to the Xingshu. Xingshu, here we go. There. Na, ni, ren. Now, a couple of things I want to mention on this one. Mainly on the ren radical. Okay, so we know that ren, that is the radical of person, which we learned like that. But have a look at this. Now remember how we talked first of all how the radicals are going to face or go towards that direction if they're from there. But watch this. You have this little kick on top. Now when you do this character here, you also see the kick is on the top. So the kick is on the head. And then if you're not lifting your pen up, this is, watch what happens. It comes up on an angle, I'm exaggerating it, and down. And then sometimes even kicks back up here. So this radical here, which to a foreigner would normally just write it as stroke down, like this. Actually, in the muscles goes like this. I'm going to exaggerate it. There, there, and up. Okay, that's what's happening in the muscles for the ren character, and I'll show you as we get down here. You know, you can start to see it kicking up here in some of these. Okay, now so it turns into that, that. Okay, that, which turns into ni. Okay, that. Now it's important because now I want to take this little side thing. Very important radicals. We have the ren radical, we have the xing radical, so there's two people walking, and then we have the si radical, which is silk. Okay, these three don't look the same like this, but have a look at this. Ren, fair enough. Now this is the xing radical. One, it could be like that, but and then coming in like this. But then sometimes you see it going like this. Little, big, in, up. Okay, so example in the word xing for xingshu. You have the, up, and then you have that, down. Now you see that there. So if we were doing it, pointing to that way, and you see these are both shooting towards there. So shoot towards there. That's at a bit of a wider angle than that. You see those? Those two are at different angles. They would intersect. So and then down. Down, and then that. Now, as opposed to this is what happens here. We have a big one on top, little one, and up. Believe it or not, this is the xingshu, the handwriting version of the silk. So if I was to write the word for red, for example, it would look like this. The hong, red. I'll do it again. Hong, red. So watch for these two radicals. This is the two people walking, and this is silk. Very similar. Okay, That's one you can take home. All right, so we have na ni nu. Let's have a look at where nu comes from. Now, we had this already for woman under the piece, which turned into that, right? Remember? So we have this, and then we have this here in this character. So the original character is no. This one we learned, you get this down there. So basically, that's how you write that character. This character is written like that, which turns into that. So if we put them both together, that and that, we get that. Pretty cool, huh? So that, and that is where we got nu from. Next, ne. Almost as cool. Remember when we had this, okay, for e, but this is very similar, except we've got that there. What happens is we have a combination of this. Now, there's some funny things that happen. This is one of the classic characters you might see written in calligraphy. Fu, okay? Fu will be like that. Has this radical here and that there. What happens is we have there a big one down, and instead of this thing happening here, what we do is we get this going on. Okay? Now this is an important pattern here, to have stroke on the radical, kick up, because we see it happening in this radical and we see it happening in the tree radical. Okay? So watch this. If we go now and we're going to write, this is the character, keep in mind that we're writing this character. Okay? That comes down there, up, around, down. Okay? That comes there, up, around, down. Ne. Now around, down. And that's where we get ne from. Okay? And finally, no. Now, you'd be forgiven if you're thinking it looks like another one of these news, but it's not. It comes from this character. And you'll find, I'll write it nicely in kaishu, the around here. Okay? Nai. But so basically what's happening is your hand's coming up here, it's tracking around, then it's hitting, coming down, and coming around. So watch this. Around, making a track over, around. Now we're going to make this wider, and this is going to track around. So here we go. Down, tracking around, making wider, boop, coming out, down, track around, making wider, track around, make it wider. We have no, round, no in Japanese. So this, nai, turned into no. Okay? Na, ni, nu, ne, no. Okay, we're into the home straight. Now, you might notice that we haven't got to the whole set of the Japanese Hiragana, but I've got a lot, and we've got a lot of the core elements of the writing transmography, whatever the word is, the transformations between the kaishu, the standard printed version that you would have learned at school, and the handwriting versions. Now we're going to do ma, mi, mu, me, mo. That's come from wei, mei, wu, nu, and mao. Okay, ma, mi, mu, me, mo. This wei, meaning not, is where we get like mai and things in Thai, and you'll often see it in many Chinese dialects. Instead of a w, 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 it's actually a labial m, nasal. Okay, so ma, mi, mu, me, mo. Let's get in to see what's going on here. So ma, mi, mu, me, mo. Ma. From Wei looks like this. The original character is like that. So what happens when we do these? We learned before we can do that and then come up and kick out, and now these two can link in. So we've got a kick out, link in, okay, which turns into there, kick out, link in, which turns into there, kick out, link in, and that's where we get ma from. Okay, pretty easy. Ma, mi. Now this is a really fun one, and you often see some really weird interpretations of mei, meaning beautiful, utsukushi. Okay, so we've got a sheep. This is the normal character for sheep, okay? You've got the horns up there and it's going down, okay? So that's sheep. Let me pull it up here for you too. Okay, so we've got a sheep and here it's like a big sheep. So when a sheep is in a just a half part, we don't have to put its tail on, and then we've got a ta down there. But actually, the original character you'll see is we've got a sheep up top, and then we've got this. It's not a ta down the bottom. It's a it goes down there. You've got this. It's almost like a hoa down there on fire. It's blazing beautiful. So this meat then you'll often see beautiful written, especially by older folk like this there, and a stroke there or two strokes there. I'll show you how we get it. Got there. So we've got our sheep there, and then we have this coming up, okay, around, kick. So it turns into 1, 2, 3, 4, around, kick. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, around, kick. Now, so let's focus, zoom in on this bit here. Here, around. Now, kick. Now you remember that kick is actually what we talked about in the na stroke there, or the ta stroke. You're getting that kick in there, okay? And so we're getting this down, kick, and this is where we get from mei, mi, kick, and so we're just taking that part of it, kick, and that's where we get mi from in hiragana Japanese, from that portion of the mei. So, you know, you might see older people writing it like that, or with two strokes down there. That's where it comes from. You might like to start writing it like that too. Okay, so ma, mi, mu. I've covered this quickly before. So again, we have it coming from u, like in ushu. Okay, there. So what happens? We've got this. This time, instead of that, like that, we go like this. We're doing this version of it here. So this version of it here down, which turns into this version of it here down, which turns into mu. And you can see here, mami, mu, there it is, wushu. That's the chaoshu form of it, and it looks just like the Japanese mu character, the mu for warfare. Okay, mu, there we go. Me. Oh, and you can, and just the thing to note, you can see that zhi underneath there, which is the stand. That's that. That's why we have this form of it, or sometimes as you see it written like that, okay, is actually a rendering of that part of that. Okay, all right. Mami, mu, me. Okay, me. The reason why it's me, it's from the Japanese pronunciation for a woman, one of the many pronunciations. So this is there, and we've gone through that from the very first one, comes down, around, and around, and we have me. So me is basically the Taoshu version of nu for woman or female. And then finally, mo. Now this is an interesting one. Maobi is your brush, mao meaning hair. So the traditional character is like there. However, we can write it like that, okay, you'll see often written like that, which turns into that, which turns into mo, okay, and yeah, mo. So mami, mu, me, mo. Let me pull it up here for you, and you can just see that in the Chaoshu, indeed, you get that. Now in these ones, you don't get the head being lost, but basically this one here looks very similar. Okay, if we take this head off of it, so it just turns into that, that's pretty much your mo in Japanese there. Mami, mu, me, mo. I'm going to give you a bonus, okay? Just the numbers, quickly. because there are some good lessons. So 1, of course, is there. Notice that it's not just straight across. It starts below, goes above. 2, 2. Okay, I'll do it again. 2, 3, there and there. Remember, actually, it should really go up, straight, and down. So it's up, straight, and down. 3, 4. Okay, we start there, there, and there's the proper one. So turn to there. 4. Okay. 5. Now this is an interesting one. 5. You can see it written like that. Okay, the proper one is like that, right? But you'll see it coming down like that. 5, which turns into that. 5. Or you might see it written like this. 5. Okay. 6. Now the normal 6 that you see is like that, right? For 6. But here, this is what it looks like in writing style. Looks very different. 6, which is similar to the change you see in this character. 不, meaning not. Okay, you can turn to that, but you can see 不 turning into this. You get really funny things happening with dots. Same in like 下 and 上. Okay, so that's 6. 6. 7. 7 is an interesting one. Because we get that kickback again. Now, when you're used to writing 7, you probably write it like that. But believe it or not, this line here has a kick there. So the fast writing version of 7, you always see this kick happening there. 8. 8. Now, you normally see it like that, right? But it's actually, again, got a kick. So 8. 9. There, down, but doing it fast. There you go, 9 and 10. There, cross. Oh, and 100. Interesting one for 100. We've got the big one on top, comes down and into this there. So remember, we can do this standard there, down, around, and there. By 100. Do it again. There, down, around, there. Try it again. By, ipai. And 1000, which is normally this. So one way of doing it is like that. So anytime you're getting this cross and then vertical, horizontal, vertical, you'll find that doing that. So there. And speaking of that, for example, we have, you might know in 日本 for Japan, Nihon, ni 日本. Okay, this 本 here could be seen also, and you'll see it written like a 大 and a 十, a big and a 10. So sometimes 本, rather than being written like a tree with a base, 本, you can see it being written like a big and a 10, and that is also 本. Anyway, I hope this has given you some insights. It's been a pretty intensive hour or so, and it's probably the most intensive lesson you've seen on Chinese characters for a while. But seriously, it's really fun stuff. Getting an app like this and starting to really realize these micro muscle movements that go on, and starting seeing shapes the way that native speakers of Chinese and Japanese see and feel the shapes rather than through Western eyes is really going to give you an extra depth to your language, whether it's Japanese or Chinese or even the Hanja with your Korean, because these same principles of writing, of course, can be based on writing Korean as well in your handwriting style. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the channel. Come to stuj.com and check out the courses and the stuff I have there. Drop me a line in the comments section. Click like and let me know what you want to hear of in future lessons.